Hello, everyone. This is Frank DiMora with the End Times Research Ministry. Today is November the 15th of 2016.
I'm going to be connecting the dots between something that came out in the news and what Jesus warned about the last days. In Revelation chapter 7, verse 16, Jesus warns us about what to look for considering the sun and what's going to happen on the earth. And he says this, never again will they hunger. So that tells us they are going to hunger. And he says, never again will they thirst. So during the tribulation period and during the birth pang period, people are going to hunger and they are going to thirst. Also, look what he says, the sun will not beat upon them, nor any scorching heat. These are the people who are coming out of the tribulation period, and they found that they were thirsty. They were hungry, and the sun, the intensity of the sun beating down on them. Also, in Revelation chapter 16, verse 8, it says this, the fourth angel poured out his bowl on the sun, and the sun was given power to scorch people with fire.
And what you're looking at is my older prophecy site, which is still up and running. It's called BibleProphecyMan.com. And what I'm showing you is a post that I put up in January 9th, 2013. And in this post that you're looking at, I reflect back to the year 2010 of what I warned you back then. You'll see the headline. It says, what did DiMora warn you in 2010? U.S. seer during hottest year on record. I want to scroll down to a portion of that prophecy site, and I'm quoting myself, warning you, as I did in 2010. Since Jesus is never wrong, I can and have promised you that you will see new heat records broken in the near future. Now, what I did in 2013, I reflected back to 2010. I'm going to play a small portion of my warning from 2010. Now, many of you, where you take a look at my post, you're going to see the date today is May 2010. And this specific post that I wrote was on May 31st of 2010, and it's one of many of my warnings about what was going to happen in the future based on what I know from the Bible and the warnings that Jesus Christ told us to look for. Knowing that, let me go over to an article that I wanted to pull up for you today. I want you to take a look at this article. Get this, the U.S. seared during the hottest year on record by far. Now, here's the article. It came out on January the 8th of 2013. I didn't see this until last night when I finally had a chance to settle down and watch the news. And I'm going to play this video for you so that you can see what they said. And I'll have the link so that you can go down and read it. All right, I'm going to stop it there, just so long as you know that I've been warning you that we are going to see those heat records. I've been warning you based on the word of the Lord, and you can't go wrong when you hold firm on the promises that Jesus gave to us. And he promised he was going to be coming back, but he also promised about the things that were going to happen before he came back. And one of the things that he talked about was intense heat and fires that would be generated by the intense heat. And that's exactly what we've been seeing. I showed you from 2010. I've showed you 2013. I've showed you 2015 as well, and also in 2016. But even before those dates of 2010, I was warning you that each year you're going to see the intensity of the sun heating up the planet, scorching the planet, breaking heat records, and that's exactly what's happened. In the New York Times, for example, since we're talking about the year 2015, in January 20th of this year, 2016, they came out with an article entitled 2015 was hottest year in historical record, scientists say. So I wanted to put that in there so you know that I'm not just blowing off hot air. It is a fact. And the heat generated by the intensity of the sun is changing how our planet looks. It's changing what happens on our planet. And what I mean by that, it's causing massive droughts. It's causing strange weather. It's causing flooding. There are many effects that are caused by the intense heat from the sun. But the bottom line is, it's happening, and it's happening now in our generation, and it's continuing to get worse. Now, once again, as we head out to the end of 2016, the New York Times have posted again more news about the intensity of the sun. And we are again in 2016 seeing those records being broken, just like I promised you all the way back before 2010. And when you get my book and you read my documentary on the Bible, prophecy, and current events, The Last Chronicles of Planet Earth, you will see all the documentation showing you year after year what's happened concerning this specific prophecy. So watch the video concerning 2016, breaking the heat records. Keep in mind, you have been warned by Jesus Christ way in advance before these things took place.
The first 9 months of this year, we are fairly high up again, and we are breaking all the records. And it's likely that we are going to reach this year 1.2 degree warming level, and we are going to the wrong direction if we think of this 1.5 degree warming level, which was agreed last year in Paris. In the coming decades, we will see this negative trend to continue anyhow, which means that we will see more often disasters related to weather, and a very powerful way to adapt to these changes is to invest in the early warning systems which are provided by the National Meteorological and Hydrological Services.
So over the course of these many years, what we know for sure is massive droughts have taken effect in many parts around the world. Lack of drinking water has also become a source of concern for many nations around the world. Massive fires that have broken out in many countries around the world because of the drought conditions and the heat that's being poured out by the sun continuously every year, as you can see from the documentation that I've placed in my book. Now, earlier in this year, there was talk about in April breaking the global temperature records, and of course that has happened. And they were also discussing the fires that were taking place. I'm going to play a short clip now from my post that I put up in May of 2016 talking about the fires. You'll see why I'm doing this. Around the world are experiencing record-breaking heat. Fires that we have been watching, for example, in Australia, massive fires that they called an apocalyptic fire in Canada. These are the signs that Jesus said to look for. They are here. Now, as the New York Times give us the information about 2016 breaking heat records, we're also seeing accompanied with that massive fires like I've been talking about. November the 14th, yesterday, there was an article, Fires Blazing Across the Southern United States. You'll see fires, huge fires, in Tennessee, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina.
Raging flames tearing across the southeast have more than 3,000 firefighters battling 42 wildfires overnight, all fueled the drought in the south and many believed to be man-made.
We do also ask for cooperation with anyone who has information on anyone who may have started any of these fires.
At least one arrest so far, including 21-year-old Johnny Mullins, seen here on Facebook warning people to beware of flames.
There's some forest fires here in eastern Kentucky.
The aspiring weatherman later allegedly confessed he set the fire in eastern Kentucky to get more Facebook followers. The remaining suspicious fires are still under investigation, and in North Carolina, the situation so dire, a mandatory evacuation is in place.
Conditions are terrible. It's so dry. Even just tossing a cigarette out in your front yard can cause a fire.
The widespread smoke also prompting air quality warnings, code red in western North Carolina and orange in parts of Georgia.
And if you took time to read the Bible, you'll see that Jesus gives us the conditions of the last days, without a question. And we're seeing after effects of droughts that's affecting different parts of people's lives. Lack of water, and of course you already have the intensity from the sun. It's affecting all parts of our life. It's spreading disease. It is killing crops. It's dropping the water tables. It's changing the weather patterns around the world, causing massive floods. It's causing conditions on this planet to be much worse than we have seen for years. They even talk about it in this video.
It was agreed last year in Paris. In the coming decades, we will see this negative trend to continue anyhow, which means that we will see more often disasters related to weather, and a very powerful way to adapt to these changes is to invest in the.
And there's no question, if you've been watching the news, you've seen how the climate change has affected nations around the world. And get ready for more of the same, but even worse. I wish I can give you better news than this. But the fact of the matter is, this is not what Jesus said. He didn't say it was going to get better. Jesus told us it was going to get worse, just like in those birth pangs that we saw in Mark 13:8. Now I'd like to go over to a prophecy in the Old Testament that hasn't been fulfilled yet. It will be fulfilled. I think it will be fulfilled shortly. And that is the Psalm 83 war that we see in the Old Testament. And according to this prophecy, there's a host of nations that border the nation of Israel that will be attacking Israel in the last days. And I'm going to center on the Hezbollah, the enemy of Israel, that are based in Lebanon. Or as you can see, number 5 and also number 9, the Hezbollah, the Lebanese. And the reason why I'm focusing on the Lebanese is because of what is happening in the Middle East right now as this enemy of Israel is building up their armament. And anyone who knows the prophecy and believes the prophecy knows that the Lebanese are getting ready to have war against Israel. Here's some news today from ynetnews.com out of Israel. The headline, Hezbollah shows off tanks, missiles in Syria. The Arab media has published pictures of the massive amounts of Hezbollah forces in Syria. The Syria Observatory of Human Rights, SOHR, reported on the show of force, as did various Hezbollah media outlets. Now, I recommend that you Google this title and read the entire article. But for the purposes of this video, I just want to give you some highlights of what is being said, because what is actually being showed to us is that the Lebanese are building up their arms. Tanks, weapons that they didn't have before, now they have, making it an army. It says Lebanese media outlets are struggling to understand the message Hezbollah is trying to send with these pictures, especially since the pictures weren't published by the terror group itself. And you can see all the tanks that they're showing in this photo. Now as I scroll down, you'll see some other pictures in this article about the weaponry that the Hezbollah has. And I'm just going to cover this portion of the article because it's the most important part of the article. It says Hezbollah has flagrantly shown off its military forces in occupied Syria and has taken advantage of the political cover it has received following the new presidential inauguration and the government seal of approval, the official said. What will this strong president say to the Lebanese people regarding this armed militia, which has turned into an army? He is participating in the occupation of Syria and is taking part in the massacre of the Syrian nation. Various other news sources affiliated with Hezbollah, such as Al Sharif, welcome the pictures of the forces in the Qusayr area located on the border with Lebanon. Now, this is the most important part, this next section. Any future campaign will not be, look at this, will not be limited to Lebanese territory. A firm message to who? To Israel and the terrorists, the newspaper wrote. So The information in this article pertaining to the army of the Lebanese and their tanks and all this other equipment that they have now, it's directed to Israel. It's directed to Israel because Hezbollah hates Israel. And they've said over and over on many occasions that they want to destroy the nation of Israel. And for anyone who knows the prophecy of Psalm 83, you know that they are doing just that. They're preparing for the Psalm 83 war against the nation of Israel, of which they will lose. So if I were you, I would definitely begin to pay attention of the news coming out of the Middle East, especially when it pertains to the nation of Israel and those nations that are mentioned in the Psalm 83 war, because we're advancing to the end of the end times. In other words, the signs just prior to the beginning of the 7-year tribulation. And the news that you're seeing today is just a prelude to what's coming. Now, moving over to another one of the signs that Jesus talked about in Matthew chapter 24 about the great earthquakes that would be coming in the last days, accompanied with all these other signs. If you've been watching the news, you've noticed that there have been many of these great earthquakes. And those who live in New Zealand were rocked again by the fourth earthquake in 2 days. And this earthquake, which originally hit, was a 7.8, and it triggered a tsunami. Now, since New Zealand did have this massive earthquake, they've been having a series of aftershocks as well, and making the problem even greater. And as you watch the video here of what New Zealand looks like after the aftermath of the massive earthquake, along with the tsunami, just keep in mind, again, truth coming from Jesus Christ about the last days concerning these great earthquakes, and earthquakes in many places, not just the great earthquakes, but many of these quakes. And we've been seeing earthquakes that normally don't happen in certain places. Now, I know that there are many people that are watching the news that don't have a clue as to what the Bible has to say about the current events that are showing up on the news. And all I can ask is please pay attention to the news and what the Bible has to say, because these are warnings from a loving God trying to get the people ready to meet him, because he did promise, as I said, he is going to come back. But before he does come back, there are certain things that will take place. And some of these things you're seeing right now, such as the massive earthquakes and all the changes that are happening globally through weather changes and just the hearts and minds of men around the world, and how most of the people around the world now are feeling something's definitely different, and they can sense it. And what they're actually sensing is the last days. And a lot of the people don't even realize these are the last days because they've never read the Bible. But the Lord is calling people through many people such as myself and others who are getting the message out. They're connecting the dots between the Bible prophecies and the current events, showing the people, please get ready. Because just as the time ran out with Noah's generation, so is the time for our generation is running out as well. And the Lord is trying to gather as many people as will listen to him as possible, but it's all up to the individual. You have a choice to believe the Lord, receive him as Savior, or reject him. And the latter would be the biggest mistake you'll ever make in this life and follow you into the life afterwards. This is Frank DiMora with the End Times Research Ministry. God bless.